Hi everyone, this is your instructor Arjun Gupta, and welcome to the sessions of Salesforce Admin and App Builder training. Just a little bit about me. I have total of 11 years of experience, which is my professional experience in Salesforce.com. What we are discussing today, introduce cloud computing and Salesforce.com. And before that, we're going to understand the basic of cloud computing. Earlier, what used to happen was applications were built on premise. So, focus on the term on premise. What that really means is people had to worry about every level of concern which is required to build an application. So, for example, if you were to build a software application, consider if you're building a banking software, what do you need to build a software, right? Just at the start, one, you need infrastructure. So, what counts in infrastructure is all your operations, so you need a development team. You need to make sure that you have your servers, your databases aligned to store data. You need to make sure there is network, like internet provided to your development team to work on. And you need to make sure that maintenance is also happening a long time. You do not just procure all this. You also need to make sure that all of this is available to you and it is maintained over a period of time. Right? So you needed to make sure all of this is with you. And what else? Desktops. After infrastructure was handled, you needed platform. What platform comprises of is softwares. So in order to build a banking software, so for example, you're building it on Java, or you're building it on .NET, or you're building it on any related other technology, let's say C++, etc. So I'm just using actually languages over here. There could be n number of softwares. Okay, you need Eclipse, you need Sublime, stuff like that. So you need platform, you need Oracle, SQL to behave as a DB. So you need all of that. And then when you actually deliver, that is when you build software, which is actually the last bit of application for end users, which is the banking software. It's really simple to understand. Don't confuse yourselves here. So think about it like this. I've told people to build an application, and what the traditional trends were that people needed to take care of the infrastructure, all your operation, your everything, your desk, databases, servers, network, your maintenance. So you need an entire maintenance team to ensure that your network servers are running all fine. And then once you get your desk, you have your team, you need platforms or the softwares installed in your system in order for you to build the end product. Now, this is what I mean by on premise. Cloud changes the trend, and using the cloud, it means is you do not really need to worry about the infrastructure. This is provided to you as a service. Apart from on-premise, what we're doing is now we're using as a service, everything as a service. Okay, and we'll understand this, what this actually means. Platform may also be provided as a service to you. You do not even have to worry about these softwares. Okay, anything that you require to develop an application, you do not have to worry about it. All you have to worry is about development of the application. Cloud has changed things in a lot of ways, and there are different offerings which we'll talk about. But what you need to understand is that it's really simple, efficient, fast, robust when you actually develop on the cloud. Salesforce is just one example. Facebook, Gmail, Office 365, these are all cloud applications. What does that really mean? There is no software that you install to use these applications. Anything being provided to you on the web can be considered to be a cloud. The older days, you would remember when there was no Office 365, okay, you needed to install a lot of softwares. Now you do not. Okay, you just simply hit a URL on your browsers and you go and start using them. Now, these are examples of applications on the cloud. There are a few examples of providers of infra. If you've heard Amazon Web Services, Azure, others, they provide you the infra as a service. Amazon Web Service is one of the leading providers of infrastructure as a service. That means is you can rent out their facilities. Okay, you can pay for their facilities and you do not have to worry about point one. What Amazon Web Services does for us is it provides us all of this. It takes care of network, it takes care of databases and servers. It has a central repository, by the way. Think like this. Globally, it has a few locations where it stores all this, and it allows you over the internet, over the web, okay, to connect to these and make use of this. Okay. They have their databases and you can just make use of that. And they make sure wherever they are located, they are going to keep their servers and network up and running all the time. So they take care of infrastructure and they give it to you as a promise that they would have the best maintenance done, but they charge you for that. That this could be a little expensive to use, it's actually not. It's the cost that you're paying instead of actually worrying about all of this at your end. It does save a hell lot of a cost. And cloud is being promoted just because of this. AWS, remember, if they provide you this, you're not the only one they're providing this to. Okay, now this is the true and power of cloud. AWS might have thousands of clients globally, and you are just one tenant on cloud. Think like this, you just hold one apartment amongst all the apartments that a cloud has to offer. Okay, so you're just one of the tenants, okay, in a multi-tenant setup, and that is what cloud does for you. Okay, that's the power of a cloud. Now you may choose to use infrastructure as a service, so that's one of the cloud advantages. And also tomorrow, like, when I'm building a banking software, I realized that, this is great. So infrastructure really worked out for me and I don't have to worry about it. But why should I worry about the platform as well? My clients really want me to build banking softwares real fast, and that's my top concern. My top concern is the development team, which comes in every day and just writes the logic, builds everything on the application. Why do I really need to care about all these software installations at my end? It's expensive too, right? Because when I purchase these softwares, they have to be licensed, right? We do not use open source until unless we are working in some startups. That is fine, but still, if you're using databases, if you're using Eclipse or anything else, right? Eclipse, of course, is out of the box, but talking about different softwares, it's actually the space which we are talking about. So when we purchase, depending on the space or the TBs that you actually purchase, cost rises. And then again, the platform that you get, right, is expensive too. When you purchase platform as a service. So for example, if I'm building a banking software and I get to know that, Salesforce already provides a financial cloud. If I decide to purchase that, Salesforce would give me some ready-made technologies. Salesforce will give me some of the UI screens done already. We can behave as administrators and configurators. We do not really have to worry about writing code. So that's platform as a service for us. So we're concerned only about the application. We do not have to code for everything, for every bit of detail. A platform is already provided to you, and that also, like infrastructure, is licensed, okay? And you basically pay the rent for that. You just pay for the service on the go. You don't have to build everything from scratch, okay? So this is what a cloud means. Okay, you are a tenant, you use a part of the entire resource the vendor has to offer, whoever is providing a cloud service. Okay, so as you can see now, this is kind of describe what I've just said, so you might be able to grab it a little more. This defines term, like what is a data center? First of all, it's a space constituting of internet enabled computers and storage units. Now all of this was being maintained on premise first. Organizations used to use them, organize, process, store and distribute large amounts of data. Business typically relies heavily, this is what this talks about. You need a lot of cooling equipment, a lot of air conditions, power supply. You needed to buy a lot of softwares to be installed. Now this is more on the platform basis, right? You needed to constantly upgrade and maintain them. You needed to buy operating systems, DB servers, desktop OS. Okay, so what is cloud computing? We understand what cloud really is, right? So if everything is stored at one place and then it's distributed across. Okay, so the practice of using a network of remote servers and it's hosted on the internet to store, manage, and process data. Now, this is like a very bookish statement, but I hope you grab the concept and what cloud really does. So everything is stored. So if AWS or Salesforce or Azure or any other cloud offering is given to you on the cloud, what that really means is they have actually taken care of it. They have built a big infrastructure unit, a big platform unit at some location on the globe, okay, and they are providing it to everyone who ever needs it. So you would see now these are the terms, just stating like what we earlier used to do. And we still do, of course. Don't take that literally because we still build on-premise applications, but we needed to take care of everything, server, storage, networking. So when you actually implemented infrastructure, some of that went out of the box. And Amazon Web Services, as I said, is one of the leading providers to make this happen for you. So all your servers, storage, networking, virtualization. So that's like making it virtual for everyone who's trying to use it on top of the service was being provided by an infrastructure as a service team. Once you actually decided to even use platform as a service instead of using your own, then what happened was the OS, the operating systems, the middleware and the runtime, which are like intermediate programs on top of which you actually develop. So you do not do any upgrade, you do not have to worry about anything else in this. It started being provided by the vendor. Now, this is what Salesforce provides you, by the way. You do not buy infrastructure from Salesforce. Salesforce has its own infrastructure and they give you a platform. So all you're concerned with is the applications and the data in them. And if you buy software as a service, as I said, you do not want to develop anything on your own. Okay, you just want to use as a service. So think about like this. You're making someone else build your Salesforce applications, for example, and you just kind of pay for that on the go, and your organization can use that as an application. There are different types of cloud modules, and just to understand this briefly, there are public clouds can be made public is what I want to say. All right. And what that means is anything that you develop, any application that you develop, you can actually make it global without any restriction for anyone. And actually community also is kind of a part of either a public, private, and hybrid. And don't get confused with the slide. Community can be either hybrid, either private or public. Public is when everyone can access whatever you've developed as an application. Private is anything which you do not want anyone else to see apart from your organization. For example, employee portals. Employee portals that are available to you on the web are mostly private in nature. Public would be something like showcasing everything that is available to you publicly. Rather, I'm saying cloud offerings, your organization offerings, your products and services, so that your customers can see and check out what they actually need from your organization. Community, just like Edureka community, people can post there, people can comment, customers can post there, your employees can post responses to questions that customer raise, and customers can also go and see what products and offerings are currently being available. And a hybrid cloud is like a combination of private and public cloud. You can limit what your application has to show publicly as well as internally. So if you build a banking software, publicly you would want facilities like funds transfer, payments of bills, etc., to be publicly available to your customers. Okay, and privately within that portal itself, within that same URL, maybe your organization people will be able to see details much more. These are the models of cloud computing. Just a little bit brief about Salesforce. We have not talked about Salesforce. Now we are beginning into it. Let's understand a bit about Salesforce and its offering. So Salesforce, guys, is an American cloud-based firm, and it was actually started by Mark Benioff. Salesforce used for customer relationship management, so that your customer records are well kept in the application and your users of the application can use it quite well. So Salesforce org gives you offerings for CRM. I'll kind of explain this to you more because otherwise you won't get this, what really CRM is. I'm an automobile company and I'm running it, and I do not have any IT team with me. Okay, I just create trucks, cars, two-wheelers, etc. This is what I deal with. These are my products. And I also give some services like maintenance. Okay, so these are my services. So these are all my offerings. And tomorrow, who would be my customers? Just about anyone in the public, right? They can buy this. So customers could be individual or organizations also, right? So for example, some organizations would purchase 100 cars or so on. Now think like this, guys. Now why I would use Salesforce? The reason why I'm doing this on the notepad right now is to make sure that you understand what customer relationship management is, okay, as a concept first before we go any further. So what do you mean by customer relationship management? When I was not in IT, what we generally do is in my organization, which is the automobile company. So my company has marketing, which actually markets the product. Okay, maybe I have a website being created by some IT company. They've created a website and we've put all our products there. So that is marketing for me. And I run campaigns. We see how many emails we are giving, how many ads we are giving, advertisements, right? So I have marketing representatives or reps. So these are all my employees in my organization who do all this. Then I have sales reps. Once marketing is done, people would ask for the products, they would inquire, and a possible sale would happen. Then I have service reps. Service reps are people who would call for maintenances to customers who are existing or may even ask queries or any issues. So this is the team I have. And of course, then finally the management. So management would see everything, how the organization is running. Now, when I did not have Salesforce, any application to maintain all this, all the data, whatever they do will be stored somewhere, right? Just taking a very vanilla case, I was using an Excel, Microsoft, and this is where I maintain my customer data, my meeting notes, my sales sheets, right? Agreements, contracts, everything. My quotes, issues are also being either on emails, whatever. So if I did not have any automated application, on-premise would be a system to maintain all this. I was maintaining everything earlier on this, which get too complicated because it's unorganized. This is where I would have wanted ideally an IT team to build an application. Now, this is customer relationship management. Salesforce is just an application, a platform where you can design applications so that your CRM can run better. We can move about these ones a bit fast and move more to hands-on. Salesforce is the number one CRM offering out there currently. Some of the companies that are using Salesforce. So this talks about Salesforce offerings, but of course, this also focuses on your CRM because you would see that, Salesforce gives you a sales cloud, it gives you a service cloud. These are all offerings of Salesforce, guys. Okay. Sales Cloud helps your sales rep users. Service would help the service rep users. Marketing Cloud, actually, the company name was Exact Target, which Salesforce acquired, and it converted it into its Marketing Cloud. You can also build app on Salesforce, just like Android and iOS apps, guys. You can build functionalities, and there are many companies who do that as a business solely on this. They build apps, and you can use those apps and install it in your Salesforce applications and use some functionality. Okay, just like any app, like a banking app or a birthday reminder app, as simple as that. You can build that, and if your customers are interested, if they have Salesforce organizations products, they can install these apps. Business and IT benefits, what Salesforce has to offer to you guys is that you do not really have to worry about buying or configuring any hardware or software. Okay, so it's a pay as you go model, right? You're using subscriptions, and Salesforce actually offers you everything on the cloud so that you don't have to worry about it. Few things that you still can know about from this slide is that Salesforce does its product maintenance in form of 3 releases. It's in winter, spring, and summer. So it does its releases, and what that is, it's not only maintenance, of course, it's like an upgrade. So any new feature that Salesforce gives out of the platform, you can install it, and Salesforce actually keeps upgrading your production instances so that it's latest and up to date. Salesforce has a very big product offering out of the box. Declarative programming is what you mean by point and click. You can drag and drop and build your application. So the platform which is being provided as a service gives you a lot, okay, so that you do not really have to go for the programmatic options. This slide talks about a few things you can do in Salesforce. You can build your own data model because you have an infrastructure. So you can design your database, you can create a user interface, and all the data that you have, you can present it in reports and dashboards so that your leadership or your sales heads or service heads would actually want to see how your organization data is doing, how much are your employees working, right? So all this is actually good, right? You can do business automation, you can access your data on apps. So when we say business automation, so for example, you save a record, like in Excel, if you create a record, no automation is happening, right? But in Salesforce, if you save a record, automatically an email can be sent out, or automatically more records can be created in your database. So all that is a part of your business logic and your process automation, which is not achieved if you write it on a paper or Excel. Okay. Now this is the capability of out of the box Salesforce. You do not write any code. So people who are developers who actually onboard themselves into Salesforce, let's get into things. So you need to go to this link, and all you need to do is click on sign up to create your first Salesforce org. Okay, now we are creating our own developer environment. Okay, so the terms I use: developer environment, org, instance environment, are all interchangeable, guys. I might use any of these terms. And what is this? This is where you develop your application. So this is what? This is pass. So you're being provided a pass when you register for it. And this is available for a lifetime. Isn't this brilliant? But it's restricted on space. You can only create 2 full licensed users on this org. If you create an environment for yourself, it can be used for practice. Okay, so this is only for practice. But having said that, so since it's restricted on data, you cannot make it live. You cannot allow people to use it. They won't be able to create many records. All you can do is create some level of test records so that you can test your functionality. But all the development features will be available in this developer org. Now, this is what you need to realize. If you want to make a live system, you have to purchase it from salesforce.com. You have to contact them on this site. There will be numbers and they will allow you to purchase it. So this is what your developer environment would do for you. Let's go create a developer environment and have a look. So once you're on this URL, just click on a sign up, and just like any other sign up, just fill in the relevant details. Just give a username. Key things: your email, okay, is something that you should have access to, very obvious, right? And make sure you remember your username. So I'm just giving a sample username over here. That's all right. You can just agree to that. Once you do this, right, there will be a verification link that will be generated, guys. Okay. Now, till that comes in my email, I just want to quickly tell you, you remember that I use United States as my country. It doesn't matter, you can choose any, but what would matter is I'll tell you when we actually log into the org. So you will get an email like this, and all you need to do is verify the account that you created. Just click on that and you'll be redirected to your brand new Salesforce org. You will need to change your password first. Now, before I change the password, do you note that this shows NA91 in the URL? So this is a URL to your org, guys. Okay, it shows NA91, right? It's because I gave United States as my country. The domain name, this is called the domain name. Okay, and the server actually changes from the location you're registering from. It doesn't really matter, but this is just for knowledge that I'm letting you know. And what that means is at any 91 location, Salesforce must have kept its infrastructure and its platform. And you're one of the tenants who are using any 91 server. So this is accessible to everyone now, except when you try to log in, right, you will get a verification token that will come to me, but I can remove that verification for you to do. And we'll see how. Once you're done with everything, this is your Salesforce org, guys. This is the home page that you will be redirected to. So this is a brand new Salesforce org we've just created. And you can see here there's a Salesforce logo, that cloud logo that comes here. On my this hamburger icon, this is actually an app launcher. So if you click on that, there is tremendous amount of, so these are all the apps that you can see where I can go: service, marketing, and more. The UI is what you see. So when we talk about UI, Salesforce has an MVC architecture. So what we are looking at is V, or the view. What you can see visually is your view. Okay. So everything that you're looking at is your view. This is your view. And if you see the small icon here, you can see who you are from here. And you can go to your settings if you want to from right here. So just click on settings. When you click on settings, right, you can change things from here if you want to about your name, your email, your username. Just remember what you change. And what I want to do is I wanted to show you something else. Okay, so I went on settings and I'm now clicking on advanced user details. And I'll tell you why I'm doing this first is because when you create a user, now since I signed up, my user automatically got created and this is my user detail. So in Salesforce, user is a database object, okay, which stores a list of all the users. Okay, so in Salesforce, now we're talking about M, which is the model or your database. So the users, what are there in the database, you can create them, update them, delete them, and read them, which is like query, right? So you can read them as well. So that's how you interact with the database, right? Now that forms the model. So all these tables are referred as objects in Salesforce. So user is an object and every user has a profile. It's right here. I've just clicked on that profile and this profile actually tells me what permissions I have. By default, if you sign up, you will get a system administrator. So every user will always have a profile and the sign up user is a system administrator. Basically, a system administrator has all access to your system. Okay, so if you have an IT team, right, we talked about that automobile company, that'll be the first step. I'll create the IT team users, right, because they have to develop it. They will be the system administrators because they should have every possible access. Okay, now I have described profile at a very high level. Okay, we're going to talk about security of Salesforce in a very deep level when we actually get there in the modules, but this is just a heads up of what a profile means. Okay, so it lays out all the permissions which a user will have. And what I'm just about to do is I'm going to this login IP ranges and I'm clicking on new and I'm defining a range which is like the max. I'll tell you what this means and why I did this, okay? Because if you log in into my Salesforce org, you might get a verification token, and that verification token will come on my email. You need to use that. It's like an OTP, one-time password. You need to use that to log in. But now since I gave the IP range like this, verification won't be done. Simple. You just give my username and password, you can directly go. So this is a security measure. So on your profiles, open up if you want to, of course. Okay, you do not do that otherwise because then you're giving a possibility for anyone to log into your system. So you're kind of bypassing the security, right? So on your profiles, you can open up IP ranges. So you might want to give access to only few profiles. I gave an entire range, right? So that everyone can access. So you would now understand why I gave that access, because I want all of you to be able to access my org. Not that the verifications happen all the time, but sometimes only that OTP comes into picture. Otherwise, usually you might just give username and password and you can directly log in. I'll show you how to log in. Once you sign up, right? And if you log out, if you come in again, you need to use this URL, guys. Okay, you need to use login.salesforce.com. And all you need to do is you need to give out the username and password that you just created. So this is the URL and just click on login. I've opened up IP ranges, right? So no verification. And as I said, sometimes without even giving that IP range, sometimes that verification won't happen. If you want to register your mobile phone, you can. I'm going to talk about the metadata of Salesforce now. We are going to understand Salesforce not by understanding CRM first. I'm going to teach you the building blocks of Salesforce first. And I'm going to use the university example to start out this. And then later, when we go on automobile app, we'll understand how CRM really works. We're going to, in university apps, what we're going to understand is how we create an app, how we create an object, how we create a tab. I'll come to them one by one. How do we create fields? And then how do we create records on page layouts, update and delete them. And we're going to talk about visibility or the security at a very high level today. In your org, now I'm a system administrator, right? So I have been given a task to create a university app, guys. Okay, I've been hired by the university. Management told me that please create a university app so that we can track our students, we can give them grades, we can manage them very well. All right. And what I would do is I'll first, before creating anything else, I'll create an app. We need to build an app first, which will be only for sales. And you can see over here what apps first are, so if you click on this app launcher, these are nothing but apps. And I'll tell you what these mean. First, use this quick find section, okay, and type the keyword app. What you would see is there's something called an app manager. When you go on an app manager, you will see a list of apps that were being showed on app launch. We are going to create one new. So what I'll do is I'll click on a new lightning app. Okay, just click on this. We'll understand them one by one, what all these mean as well. And I will state that I'm creating a university app. I'll just name it university. Leave the developer name as university. What a developer name really means is if you try to use this app at a code level, if you're doing some customization, then this is what you can make use of. As an administrator, you can ignore that. This is mostly for the developers to use. Okay, what you need to focus on is the app name. And this app will contain all the functionality which is related to the university. Okay, so I'm creating a university app within my Salesforce org. I can create more apps. So just to let you know, I can create more apps. The small logo that appears on the top left, you can upload a different image. So that's branding your app. It will just appear like this, and I'm going to click on next. It'll ask you what kind of navigation do you want, standard or console. Since you do not know either, just leave it with the default setting. Once we understand console, you would understand which one to choose in future. Okay, so just leave every setting over here by default as it looks. Do you want to add anything to it? The next screen says in the wizard. Since we do not have anything created for university application, just click on next. You do not want to add anything at this point of time. You do not want to select any of the items which are there on your left because they do not relate to your university. We are going to create our own. Leave it like this and click on next. This wizard window tells you what profiles do you want this university be given access to. Now, the profiles that you see on the left, so when you create your Salesforce org, right, guys, so you see a lot of items, a lot of profiles on this wizard, all that you haven't created. Salesforce has given you out of the box, and they've told you you can make use of this if you want to. But if you do not want to, it's absolutely fine. You can create all of that on your own as well, using drag and drop functionality or using coding. So I can create all of this on my own. What profiles are there? You already know about the system administrator, right? But we already have access to everything. We don't have to care. And there are more profiles like sales, like marketing. But since we do not want the university users, when we create them, to use these profiles, I'm just going to leave it blank. And what this actually would have stated if I had a principal profile, a student profile for my student users, for my principal user, a teacher profile, I do not have them currently, then I would have selected those profiles. And automatically all the users attached to that profile, right, would have gotten access to this app. So I'll click on save and finish, and I'll elaborate my point a little more. Okay, we just created a lightning app. Important things are items and profiles. You do not give access because you do not have your objects created yet. I do not have any students table or principal table or grades marks table yet. So I do not add anything. Profiles. Each profile can have multiple user, and profile indicates visibility to different things in Salesforce. It indicates what a Salesforce user can do. Since we haven't created any profile specific to university users, we do not select anything. Okay, and we're going to soon actually start creating and giving access to each and everything. That's it. Okay, just keep this in mind for now. And once we start creating profiles, we start creating items, we're going to come back to modify this app. Now let's create objects, right? So which we would include later. So coming back to my Salesforce org, at this point of time, I want to talk about one more setting. Because you're working on Lightning, right? Go to session settings and click on session settings. In session settings, just uncheck this. Now, what this means is it does caching. Your browser is doing caching so that it can load faster. But since the UI that we are working on is Lightning, session settings, uncheck this. Since Lightning, we are seeing in Lightning view. So Lightning, there are two views of Salesforce. Okay, one is the classic environment, which can be turned on by just clicking on this. Okay, let me just save this first. Let's come back. Now, all that you see over here is the Lightning view. The classic view is different, and we'll go to that for sure. But I'll talk more on Lightning is because these days the industry is preferring projects on Lightning. They're moving towards it more and more, okay, on this UI. And while the course actually tells me to do more on classic, I'm going to toggle between both the views. Okay, I'm going to make sure you understand both of them really well. And mostly I'll be using Lightning, but we can go to classic. Classic is way much simpler than Lightning to understand initially, but both of them are actually simple when you get to know about them. At this point of time, I'm looking at the Lightning view, and this uses a lot of JavaScript, which is the front end code. So in order for me to not make the browser cache anything or save anything, because the browsers automatically do that, so that once you again go to tabs, your view runs faster if they have cached, your caching settings are on for your browser. Since I do not want to do that, because if I'm doing any change, right, I created an app, right? I just created a Lightning app. Let me go on this app launcher. Go to your profile instead. Okay, so in order to go to profile, just click on profiles. Just you can do a quick find. I usually use this box really well. And what profile do we have by default? Just click on more since I cannot view everything. I have a system administrator profile, right? Click on that, and we just created an app, right, which we do not have visibility to. So on my profile, if I just go down so that you get to know a little bit about profile today, you can see custom app settings. We created a custom app, right? It's not a standard one. Standard are those what you already see. These are all standard, right? I created a custom app. What was the name? The name was university. And I see the visible is not checked. So what I'll do is I'll click on edit. So on my university app, the E point is go to profiles and just make the university visible. That's it. Okay, that's all. So just click on save. Now I belong to the system administrator profile, right? So if you view users over here, my name would come up because that's the person assigned to this profile. And now you can just refresh your page, because you need to do that because you just created a setting. Just refresh your page once more and go to setup. You can see the university app here. But what I did with the session settings, right? If my browser was caching, even after making the app visible, sometimes this does not appear because there's a lot of front end code, as I said. We'll gradually understand this more and more. But since it's caching, the browser stored the previous page and made it load faster. So your changes would actually not appear that fast. When the cache refreshes, the new changes reflect. I created this university app. If I click on this, okay, it will be currently not having any functionality, no items, because I did not do anything here, and I'm going to start building this out. Let's go and create something for a university app. If I go here, I do not see that setup window anymore, right? So what you need to again do is click on this gear icon, go to setup, and you would again see that quick find box. So we are now going to create objects. So objects are nothing but database tables, right? So you know already what one object we have talked about. It's user. So I need to create my own object. You can see user is one of the object we discussed, right? I'll talk about the standard objects later, but let's create our own object. Just clicked on new custom object. You would get this screen, and let's say I want to create an object called student. I'll give it a plural name like students, right? And it doesn't start with a vowel sound, so keep it unchecked. Object name is student. This is for the developer. Okay, you need to be concerned with the label. This will store the student records. That's it. Okay, leave the other settings as they are for now. Okay, you can allow reporting to happen on this object later. You can allow activities like tasks to be created, or meetings, or anything that to be created on this. So you can check that and leave the other settings like they are for now, and keep it simple, plain, and just click on save. Note that, a record name, when you create a student, by default, it will be named as student name. I can also say just keep it name, okay, and I'll save this. Let's see how we use this. So my student object has been created, but I still do not know what to do with it. I do not know how to use it. You see its API name. This is for the developer to know. You're concerned with the student, right? So this is an API name. So it postfix with underscore underscore C because it's a custom object. Okay, it's not a standard one. Otherwise, it would have just been student. Okay, a custom is an indication. This underscore underscore C is an indication of this being a custom object. Now, before I actually do anything further in this, I want to create some fields in this object. By default, some fields are already created. Now, what are fields? Fields are nothing but columns of a table in a database. So a student will have a name, and this recorded will be created by someone and will be updated by someone. And then whoever creates a record for the student will be the owner of that record. This could be anyone in the administration side of the university. And that's why it looks up to the user table. So I'm creating a new field. I just clicked on new on the top corner in my previous window. So there are a lot of types of fields that I can create, and let me choose number to start with. I'm creating a number type field, and I'm going to name that as age. So my field name is age, and length, let's say the length of that integer can be 3 digits. Okay, no decimal places. Field name for the developers. Do I want to make it required? Do I make it mandatory for a person to enter? Let's say yes. Okay, it cannot be unique because people can have the same age. And external ID is when you want to make this field available to outside organizations to tell them that this is a unique identifier in our system. If Salesforce, if your org is being integrated with any other non-Salesforce org or another Salesforce org, then via integration, which can be a REST or a SOAP integration in its main forms, then through that integration, you can tell the other systems that this is a unique identifier of my student record. Okay, now since this is not unique, I would not check yes, but remember, it has to be exactly unique, and you can let the other systems know that you can use this field. Otherwise, do any unique identification they want to do in their system. Okay, this is more on technical terms. All you can grasp right now for now is that this field can be used by other integrating parties to identify the record's uniqueness. Click on next, ignore that external ID for now. And all the profiles, we have not created custom profiles yet. I just want to keep this field visible. It's all right to make it visible and for all the profiles to use it. So click on next. When you create an object, right, there's a page layout that gets created. So let me just take a quick pause at this moment of time. Okay, when we create objects, what did we do? We went to object manager and we created a new object and we called it student, right? And we just let all the default settings be there. We noted what the standard fields were, and the ones to remember is like created by, last modified by. These are the standard fields which get created. Okay, the name and the owner, right? These are the standard fields which get automatically created. One thing that also gets created by default is, guys, page layout. Okay, this is the UI part, which I'll just show you in a while. If you're creating more fields like we are doing here, on this, you can create more fields, okay, create new fields. And I'm just creating an age field for my student. And when you create a field, right, give its access to the page layout. That's what I'm doing. So the page layout, which is here, so that it appears on the layout or the UI, which we'll see later. Let's understand that. Keep this checked, okay, and I'll show you where it comes later on. So I've just created a field, guys. The important point is, how do I access this? I've created this object. I've created one custom field. So that's fine. And you can see underscore underscore C appearing here, just like on the object. The object is student underscore underscore C, custom object with some standard fields. So that does not give underscore underscore C, but there's just one field, which is a custom one. Before I can access this object, I'll have to create its tab, and I'll have to include that tab in my app. Let's check that out. Let's click on this gear icon once more to get that quick find box. Go on setup, and this time quick find a tab. Objects are created from here, by the way. Okay, I didn't write object here. I selected this and clicked on new. So just go on tabs. There are various types of tabs, but we'll concern ourselves today with custom object tabs because we created a custom object. So just click on new, select the object, which is student. That's the one that we created. So only one appears because we just have one in the system as a custom object, which does not have a tab. And choose a theme. This just brands the tab, okay, in this color and everything. It just gives a theme and click on next, okay. I'm stating the system to have a default on. What that means is that the tab will always appear over here on the top section when it comes in an app. Let me go to some existing app to show you what default on would mean. So let me go on sales while that loads. So I'm leaving default on, and there are features like default off and tab hidden. So this is the sales app. You see a lot of things over here. Now this is because all of these are default on. If I do not see anything here, I can always click on edit and I can add more if I wanted to. If I click on all, there will be more items which I can just do a plus, okay? And I can bring them here. Okay, I'll just close this window right now, but I can bring them here right on the top. And if there are more, they would just come here. So I can keep on adding these tabs. Now these are what are called tabs, guys. Okay, just be clear. Sales is a lightning app, just like university app. And the student object, we've created an object, but it should be contained inside a tab. That's what we're creating, okay? So I'm leaving it default on. Default off, I can edit and bring it on the screen. If I give a tab hidden, I do not have access to it at all. Even if I click on edit, right? And I try to add more utilities, that tab won't come. Ideally, we want it default on for all the profiles. Click on next. Where do you want to include the tab? You've given an access to it to apps, of course, but which profile do you want? You've given it access to profiles, of course, but which app do you want to include? I would say this tab should only go in the university app. I do not want to see the student tab in my sales or service app, right? It won't make sense. So just give it access to the university app and click on save. That's it. I've created the tab and I've also given it access in the app. If I go to the app once more, right? I could have either chosen not to give access there, then I would have to modify my app. So if I go back to my app manager and if I go back to see, if I click on edit over here, quickly verify whether my app got an access or not. So let's go to the university app. Students is what I created. Now remember one thing, guys, I'll repeat myself, okay? I gave this access to the app, you would remember, and I think that is why it appears in the available items. This is what that does. For it to come in available items, while creating that tab, I gave that access, okay? Now all I need to do is just add this as a selected item, okay? And that's it, okay? Just click on save, or you can just simply just refresh this page. So I have students here, right? I just edited my app. So if I click on students here, that's it, guys. Okay, because we're lacking time, so I will talk about this more. But just to show you, you can create your records now inside this. Okay, so I can create a student record. Let's say Vidya is this, and just give a sample age. Okay, and just click on save. And likewise, I can create more students, right? So I can create Rahul. I can just do a save and new. It will just keep on continuously create records for me. All my intention was to show you how you can create student records in your system. Okay, so if I click on the tab again, I would be able to see these. Remember, when you create a tab, what you need to, of course, remember is go back to the app and add the navigation item. So when you go back to the app, go to the app manager, edit your Lightning app. I'm going to take a pause here. I know you would have enjoyed. Thank you very much, guys.